Time for another Hottie Sports podcast with me, Macca, and me good mate Mahona. How are you this week, bud?
Oh, I'm okay, mate. I'm not Danish, so I'm okay. I've had a good week. I've had a really good week, and there's been so much sport on telly to talk about. Now's the time to do it. Let's start chatting sport, mate.
Quite right, quite right. Well, this week on Facebook, we posed the big question for this week, and it was around the IRB and eligibility laws, trying to get them under control as a repeat of the All Blacks' 102-0 win last weekend over Tonga showed exactly why new rules around international rugby need to be streamlined. And I think the irony of the whole thing was people were talking about this on the breakdown, and then the next day, the All Blacks call up Tongan-born Samisoni Taukei'aho as a backup to their front row. So, this is crazy, isn't it, these eligibility laws?
Mate, he, of course he's been called up. He's a good player. So, the All Blacks are going to call him up. That's the thing. The key here is obviously who the players want to play for. I saw an interview with Sevu Reece during the week where he said, I was this close to playing for Fiji, and then I got a call from the All Blacks. I thought of Sivivatu and Rokafoko and all those players before me. And of course I want to be an All Black. Like most of those guys, they use their smaller nation of birth as their backstop, and then if they don't make that, then they play for the All. The problem is they play one or two tests for the All Blacks. They're never, you heard that right, never available for their country of birth ever again, and that's a problem. And then because of that, we end up with blowouts like we saw last Saturday night at Mount Smart Stadium, 102-0. That wasn't a game of rugby. It was a massacre. I can't believe they allowed people to pay to come in. I understand people want to see the All Blacks. I understand that, but it was basically a glorified training ground, wasn't it, mate? And something definitely needs to change in the world of rugby eligibility. And just for me as a league man, who have for so many years heard rugby guys bleat on about, leagues, the eligibility rules in league are a joke. Well, at least we have competitive matches in our World Cup, and at least we have, the Tongan team who, all the Tongans in South Auckland want to go out and support. I mean, the support there was lackluster, to say the best, on Saturday night. And I spoke to a number of Tongans who live out in South Auckland as well, doing my research for the show, and most of them said, no, we weren't going to go. We knew we were going to get smashed. So why would we want to go? They go and see their league side because they've got good players. They've got Jason Taumalolo playing for them, for God's sakes, So you can't blame them. No, the eligibility rules are a joke. They need to be fixed. What are we going to do about it, Macca?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got a couple of options in football, which used to be hard and fast. You could only play for the country you were born in, and once you played for that country, that was it. But they've relaxed them slightly now, and if you're under 21 and you've played friendly internationals for a side, you can still change to the nation of your choice.
What's a friendly international?
Couple of examples: Declan Rice and Jack Grealish both played friendly internationals for the Republic of Ireland before they then decided before age 21 that they actually wanted to play for England because they qualified for both through parentage or grandparentage. So I mean, something like that I think would be very good. The other thing is there's so many meaningless test matches in rugby. For example, and this is not demeaning Tonga or Fiji in any way, but these Steinlager series that they have, Ireland comes here for a couple of tests or 3 tests, or France comes here, they're in effect the same as a football friendly. They're not for a particular competition. So if you've played friendly tests before the age of 21 for, say, Fiji or Tonga, and then the All Blacks decide they want you, you can then go and play for the All Blacks. But if you've played in the Rugby Championship for the All Blacks or in a Rugby World Cup, that's it. You're stuck with that country. And I mean, the prime example of that one was Ben Artinga, his sole test appearance for the All Blacks in the 2013 Rugby World Cup, 6 minutes in a 91-7 romp over Tonga, basically has prevented him from playing again. Another thing I thought of was if you've played, say, less than 5 tests for the All Blacks, and then you float out of the picture. Then after a couple of years, you can then go and play for Samoa or Fiji or whoever. And that's just a couple of options. Don't know if I'd go quite as far as the rugby league one, where you can only play for one country in a calendar year. Do they have a restriction on that? So for example, Jason Taumalolo, is he still allowed to come back to the Kiwis?
He could come back to the Kiwis in a year. I mean, once he'd sat it out, yeah.
See,
yeah, he could. I don't think he will, though. I mean, I don't know whether I do either, but I guess they've got such a small player base, they just don't have a choice. It's either that or Australia and New Zealand and England beat everyone by 100 points every time, and then there's no international rugby. I mean, rugby league. I mean, the thing is with rugby, the question that I have of what you've just suggested, first of all, what is a friendly? I mean, rugby has never said any of these test matches are friendly. They're basically growing their international sport based on tours. And obviously they're not happening so much anymore because of COVID. But if we do get back to normal and tours start happening, are they friendly internationals, or are they, because it's genuine? They're genuine internationals.
Oh,
so are they?
Football friendlies.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just a more tricky. I think it's more tricky to define exactly what a friendly is. I was reading.
Well, basically, a friendly rugby international is a test match outside of Rugby Championship, Six Nations, Rugby World Cup.
Okay, so only those three tournaments.
Well, they're the only three major tournaments that rugby has. So,
the A-list tournaments. Yeah, I guess. I suppose. Okay, well, that's.
I mean,
but then you are watering. Are you going to have a stand down period?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How long would your stand down period be?
Well, I think a couple of years is not so long that you're out of in the wilderness for 3 years.
Yeah.
Whereas a couple of years, you can still.
But it also doesn't, like, I know you and I discussed this earlier in the week. It also doesn't penalise. I mean, I know you've got a concern that the older players who basically near the end of their career, like Ma'anonu, for instance, who's sort of, late 30s, he retires, he goes and plays club rugby for a little while. He's 2 years out of the All Blacks. 2 years isn't massive time for him to then go and play for his country of birth. Whereas if he waited 4 years, he probably wouldn't be playing rugby anymore. So maybe that allows the older guys at the end of their career, which is nice. I actually did some reading did some listening to Nigel Yeldon last night, who made some really interesting points on exactly what we're talking about now. He said the first thing you need to do is close the sevens loophole. The sevens thing is great, but if you're a back or a loose forward and you're not so fair, not a member of the type 5, not named Leone Nakarawa or Crystal Murray, hence it's not fair and equitable for all positions across the park. So that's quite an interesting one as well. The sevens, I think sevens should be construed as a brand new sport as well. So I'd completely agree with that. Close that loophole. And then he says that he reckons that you could change your international allegiance after 4 years after you play your final test for the country, which I think is a little bit too long. But for example, and I hope he doesn't mind me using to illustrate the point, Hurricanes wing Julian Savea, which is another interesting one, similar to the Ma'anonu example, played his last test for the All Blacks 4 years ago today, Saturday, the 8th of July, 2017, third test versus the British and Orange Lions at Eden Park. Under my suggestion, as of tomorrow, Julian Savea could declare his availability for another country as long as it meets the criteria laid out in World Rugby regulation. And players who would immediately be eligible to switch allegiances under the suggestion would include players like Stephen Luatua, which is fair enough. He's not going to make the All Blacks again, and he's played for a long time. He's still relatively young. Charles Piutau.
Yep.
Once again, a very, very good player who probably would have had a long career for the All Blacks. And Charlie Faumuina and Lima Sopoaga would also become eligible later on this year. So I actually quite like that idea. The 4 years, maybe a little bit longer than yours, but there has to be a stand-down period. But either way, I think both of us are in agreement, don't we? Aren't we? That
absolutely.
They're just completely wrong now. They need to be changed.
Yeah. I would just like to point out the other day, Ma'anonu was the only name I could think of at the time. And probably
it was a good example. It was.
No, I didn't think it was a good example because he'd played over 100 tests for the All Blacks and probably shouldn't play for another country.
Probably shouldn't. But Julian Savea has played. Yeah.
The names you
Julian Savea has played.
Yeah, Piutau, Sopoaga, Luatua, Malachi Fekitoa is another one. Francis Sadie.
Absolutely.
They've only played 1, 2, 3, 4 tests. And
absolutely.
They should really be allowed to play for Samoa and Tonga and Fiji.
Of course they should.
Interesting
Of course they should.
stat I saw the other day. I wish I'd written it down. Everybody has a crack at the All Blacks for playing all these Samoans and Tongans and Fijians. Out of us, Australia and England, Australia and England, we've actually had the least amount of island-born players playing for the All Blacks than those other two countries.
I'm pretty sure in England they just think that all islanders born in the islands. They don't think that any of them are born in New Zealand. They don't have any knowledge that, for instance, that Auckland is the largest Polynesian city in the world by 1 million miles. Yeah, exactly. So there's more and more Polynesians being born in Auckland than anywhere else in the world by miles. So, most islanders these days are born in New Zealand. So there you go.
Quite right. So that was our big question, and we did get a couple of comments on the Facebook page. Gareth suggested that it just be a 3-year stand down period, regardless of anything. So we'll pose another big question to you early next week, which we'll discuss in next week's podcast. So keep an eye out for that on the Facebook page. Continuing with rugby, Aaron Smith named captain of the All Blacks for the first time, leading the side to play Fiji this weekend. Smith chosen ahead of Super Rugby captains Cody Taylor and Patrick Tuipulotu. Lock Brodie Retallick returns after an 18-month hiatus playing in Japan. And Beauden Barrett is back in the number 10 jersey. Firstly, what do you think of those selections? And do you think Fiji will pose a bigger threat than Tonga did last weekend?
Okay, firstly, you can't go wrong picking a captain called Aaron, okay, for a start. You can't go wrong there, mate. You're bound to be in a winning team if your captain's called Aaron. So now, all for Aaron Smith captaining the All Blacks. I think it's good for him. He's obviously been through a lot in the last little while with all that stuff that went on, and I think he's obviously come through that actually looking quite good. And from when I saw the behind the scenes thing on Sky Sport with him, that was really interesting. He seems like he's matured a lot. So he's got a new kid. It seems like he's got more passion, more commitment, more drive, more leadership in him. He just seemed like a new man. So to me, congratulations to him. Looking at the side as a whole, interesting to see Beauden Barrett at 10. I can't remember the last time he started at 10 for the All Blacks. So that'll be interesting to see how he goes. The side's a very strong side. I think they'll go a bit better than Tonga, but I reckon it'll be plus 50. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it'll be around the 50 mark. Fiji obviously have got a stronger side. They've got more of their regular players available, including I'm sure Crusaders and probably opposition fans will remember big Nemani Nandolo, the big winger who looks about the size of Jonah Lomu, and
he's as big as he's wide as well. He's got that big ass, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's a big tank. So they've got some very good players in the side, and I think the All Blacks firstly will be doing very well to keep Fiji to 0. I think if they can do that, it's a great result for the All Blacks. But I think Fiji will be a lot better. Interesting to see Retallick this week with a couple of black eyes. Picked up in training. Apparently ran into Ethan Blackadder. And realised that
it's not advisable running into a Blackadder.
Realised that the ball's pretty tough. So I'm sure he
and great to see Brodie Retallick back, mate.
Yeah. Good comment from him as well during the week after his first run out with the All Black side. Just realised that the level was quite a lot higher than what he's been playing over the last couple of years. So
well, fair enough. He's twice as tall as half the people who's playing in the last couple of years.
Exactly. So looking forward to seeing him back in a black jersey. Your turn.
All right. Okay, mate. The Olympics begin in 2 weeks with plenty of scribes, not only in New Zealand, but around the world, calling them a repeat of the Hunger Games. They're saying, basically, this is the end of the world and this is how it all starts. You have to ask why the government isn't stepping in to stop this, don't you? I mean, I saw this, with this news about the Samoan government doing similar for some of their athletes. Do you think our government should do the same, mate, or what?
Well, you look back to 1980 when old Rob Piggy Muldoon, him and his government, they bullied athletes into not going to Moscow because
They
of the
did.
Soviet Union's military movements. Obviously, the reasons are a lot different this time. But yes, I think the government should step in and maybe not completely stop athletes from going to the games, but basically just give them a warning that, you bring COVID back into this country, you're not going to be very welcome. I mean, you look at some of the stats. I mean, there's going to be 15,000 athletes and 80,000 support staff who are going to swarm into Tokyo over the next
from 200 different countries.
Yeah. The
100,000 people from 200 different countries. That's
it's reality. Tokyo logged 716 new cases on Saturday in one day. And this is the city that's going to be hosting.
They're going for the world record, Macca. They're going for the world record.
I noticed Michael Baker, the Otago University professor, said if you are vaccinating athletes and sporting teams to go overseas, that vaccine is not available to protect vulnerable older people. It will result in deaths. There's no question about it. Staging the Olympics will kill people. So I guess the IOC has decided that is an acceptable price to pay, but that's the wrong decision for obvious reasons.
Yep. And will there be recriminations when it all does go to shit? I doubt there will be. I think they'll all run for the sky. They'll all disappear, won't they? All the people that said we have to have it. We have to have the Olympics.
Yeah,
mate. I'm looking forward to the sport. I'm looking forward to the water cooler talk about the rhythmic gymnastics and the pole vault and all the experts coming out and saying, oh yeah, studying all those sports that we only see once every 4 years. I'm looking forward to that.
Have you seen those ads on TV of the two worker guys standing there at the back of the truck talking about the diving or something like that?
Yeah. Oh, that was a fantastic little dovetail to finish there. And he's just like, oh, yes, well, I quite like the previous diver with the forward 1.5 reverse with pike.
I guess, in a positive aspect, the organisers have actually come down now and said there will be no spectators at the Olympics.
Oh, great. Yeah, the spectators are what everyone's worried about. Yeah. No, mate, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous. So, the COVID games begin in 2 weeks, I think it is.
In 2020.
Well, we've got the Euro 2020 on at the moment.
Oh, we do.
Which goes
Macca.
Into a segue. Come on, play your tune.
Oh, the sky. We're going back to the... Oh, Macca. It's been so long. It's been 1966. It's been so long. But it could be happening, mate. It could really be happening. It might be happening. Is it happening, Macca?
Well, as Michael said, has it ever been home?
The ceiling. Football's coming home. Is it coming home, Macca? Is it coming home?
Oh, not if I can help it.
Oh, you love it. You love it. They're in the final, mate. They're in the final.
They've made their first major championship final since 1966 as they meet my favourites, Italy, their fourth final, but only won once in 1968 on Monday. In the Euro 2020 final, bit of debate around England's win yesterday. Second ball on the field, a dodgy penalty, Denmark's wall being too close to England's wall. Oh, it's all going on, creating hot conversations around the place, and also here on the Hot Air Sports Podcast.
Oh, mate, that penalty was so dodgy. It was never a penalty. Never a penalty. Never a penalty. Ridiculous. Raheem Sterling, first of all, there was a second ball on the pitch. The ref should have seen that, should have stopped the play. But okay, besides the fact that there was a ball on the pitch, breaks into the box, the guy doesn't touch him, he takes a dive, they get a penalty. It's saved miraculously by Schmeichel, but unfortunately bounces back and Kane bangs in the rebound. 2-1. England are singing. They're through the final. They say, who cares? Who cares? We've had so many things in the past which have absolutely stuffed us, and we get one good call. We're in the final. Who cares? Well, you'll be caring next week if the same thing happens to you with Italy, my friends. If it happens next week on Sunday, not Monday, isn't it? Monday for us.
Monday morning.
We will never hear the end of it. I will die on my deathbed with English people still going on about that penalty back in the Euro 2020 final. So don't tell me to just forget about it. I'm not Danish. I had no skin in the game, mate. But that was just an absolute dive by Raheem Sterling. Absolute disgraceful award by the ref in the first place. And then for the VAR to just say, nah, that's fine. No clear and obvious there, mate. VAR's been so bloody good throughout this tournament, and then they go and stuff it all up, and what do you know? It's a game featuring England. Hey, call me a cynic. Call me a cynic.
Yeah, I'll call you a cynic. I'll agree it was a soft penalty, but I did. When you look at penalties,
you get extra points for soft ones, or
can I speak?
No.
You've had your rant. I thought it was a soft penalty. Yes, I thought it was a penalty. The first Denmark defender did touch Sterling's knee, and when you're running at that speed, I think it's even a little knock will knock you over.
When you're falling at that speed.
But yes, it was a soft penalty, but I still thought it was, and I think the VAR did look at it, decided that referee didn't make a clear and obvious error. If they only showed that one angle from behind the goal line where you could actually see Marla's knee touching Sterling's knee. So
you're dreaming.
And as for the second ball on the field, who cares? And of course, I'm with you. I didn't have any skin in the game either because I want Italy to win because that's who I put money on, and I just love the way the Italians have been playing in this tournament.
Yeah.
But,
what about okay? Can I
before you jump in here? I'm just going to say England. And we've all heard about every single thing that's gone wrong for them at major tournaments. You know, Stuart Pearce hit the post. Gareth Southgate's penalty was saved.
The Germans
over the bar. Frank Lampard's ghost goal.
That was crazy.
Germany 4-1 in that game. So don't tell me that goal would have changed the game. England were terrible in that World Cup, and Germany would win it. So don't crap on about Frank Lampard's ghost goal. So, England got one to go their way for once. And I thought actually on the day they were probably the better of the two teams. So, I think.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
What do you make of Gareth Southgate? Did you see his little imitation Klopp punches at the end? The guy is just so far. I just don't like him. I just can't like him. For a start, okay. It's just the way that okay, he brings on Grealish. I go, yes, this is great. Grealish creates all sorts of problems. He pulled him off. He took him off. And they go up a goal, and he goes, right, let's shore things up at the back. Mate, keep going forward. You were all over them at that stage. You could have won 4-1. Instead, he brings on a fullback. I just dislike the way he look, and everyone goes, "Oh, that was so pragmatic. That was so great." You know, he knows his style, dude.
He obviously doesn't know his players, though. Who's the best player in that squad to keep hold of the ball?
Foden, probably. Henderson. Grealish. Yeah, Grealish is the best player to run with it and keep the ball out and draw fouls. I mean, draw fouls, set pieces.
Why take the player that can control the ball better than anybody in that entire squad? And
if I was Jack Grealish,
like Sterling, who'd already played 110 minutes at that stage and was looking absolutely knackered.
He suggested, I've heard the interview with him, he suggested that he took Sterling off because he reckons he was still breaking forward and making those runs. And to be fair, I mean, maybe he did. I mean, he got the penalty, didn't he? But taking off Grealish, that was just so weird. And I mean, if I was him, you know, he comes on, he makes a difference, and then you get taken off for a fullback.
Yeah,
I would just be. I just wouldn't want to play for Gareth Southgate if I was him.
Absolutely.
So I just can't get behind England. I'm sorry, not with Gareth Southgate at the helm. Italy all the way. Make me some money, Italy.
We'll talk a bit more about the final coming up. But another of the big issues this week is the NRL had an enough yet of the continued bad behaviour we see every season from different players and groups. The St George Illawarra Dragons, the latest to break the rules, with a party being held during lockdown, over 20 matches and suspensions, over $300,000 worth of fines, and the party host, Paul Vaughan, sacked by the club.
Yeah, party at my place. Woo!
Yeah.
We're in lockdown. Woo! Mate, that was ridiculous. For a start, they didn't have much to celebrate. They nicked the 1-point result against the Warriors. That was just gutting, and they didn't deserve that. And so they obviously thought, oh, let's have a party. Woohoo! No, man, I just can't believe it. And then there's another one just happened probably since you've written that. I don't know whether you've heard this one, Jai Arrow.
Oh, Jai Arrow, yeah, I just saw that.
For taking a girl into his apartment. And honestly, man, I just don't know how Paul Vaughan, especially, man, the guy's nearly 30. He's played for Australia and New South Wales. He was on, apparently, he was on his second warning. And that's the reason that, and the first thing was a sexting scandal. Not surprising either. Those come up all the time. But then I saw his sort of, his mea culpa, his sort of, his message of contrition, if you will, when he was, oh, I'm just thinking of my family. And I'm just like, well, what the fuck are we having a party for there? And what's the sexting thing? I mean, why? You obviously don't think of your family first, you know? I mean, to come out now and cry, I just really don't know what I'm going to do. And, yeah, well, mate, you were on, hundreds of thousands of dollars for playing a game. You might have to go and work on a building site for proper money now. I mean, I have zero sympathy for these people, man. I really do. Because one, if I had the talent to be a first grade rugby league player, I would be so grateful for the opportunity, right? That I would never do anything to jeopardize that. And two, I'm just not an idiot. I look for, I would understand if he was 19, 20, 21, young guy coming along, want a party, there's girls and all that sort of stuff. But mate, the guy's old enough,
Should know better.
Just wrong, man. Just wrong, eh? And now he's paid the ultimate price. The ultimate price. You've had your contract ripped up. You've lost your job. What are you going to do, mate? Think about it.
For a few beers.
Yeah, a few beersies.
The thing that puzzles me is, I mean, the NRL's had so many problems over the years of people doing stupid things and bringing the game into disrepute.
Yep.
Do they not have any sort of education program?
Yes, they have plenty of. They have plenty of those.
You don't hear of the. I mean, yeah, you see footballers acting the goat and all that sort of thing, and in Europe when they're on their summer holidays. But once the season, I mean, how often do we see the beginning of a season, rugby league, NRL launches, a big party, and then suddenly a couple of days later, the Canterbury Bulldogs have done something stupid, or the Stewart brothers and Manly have done something stupid, or it happens every year, and
okay, well, partly
do they need harsher suspensions. Do they need?
Maybe. I mean, you would hope that this would be a watershed, but it won't be. There's going to be something else. There always is. For a start, you're talking about a sport where most of the guys are really working class people and playing a game where they bash people up for a living. So you're not going to get a hell of a lot of, rocket surgeons, brain appliances. You're not going to get a lot of, Rhodes Scholars playing rugby league, are you? And then on top of that, there's all the hype and the adulation that is heaped upon these young guys, and they get a bunch of money, and they go out and buy flash cars, and then there's the girls, and then they're on TV. And so there's all of that mixed up, and I just think that they just, a lot of those young guys, that's the thing. I excuse some of the younger guys. But Paul Vaughan, when you get to a certain age and you've been through the thing, he must have heard, before every season, I think they go through media training. They have their, social media stuff. They go through all the things they can and can't do. He must have been through that a dozen times. He's old enough, so there's just no excuse, for someone of his age and experience to be, having those sort of, doing those sorts of things.
I did have a wee chuckle to myself when I read all the different names doing different things, and to see Jack de Belin hiding under a bed.
Hid under a bed. It's a thing. The cops knocked on the door. Apparently, all the players bolted.
Yeah.
Guys hid in cupboards. Honestly, this is a true story. Cupboards. A couple of the guys went out the side door and jumped over the neighbours' fences.
Parents are home. Parents are home.
It was a bit like that, eh? Weekend at Bernie's. Weekend at Paul's. It's like, honestly. But Jack de Belin, finding him under a bed after the guys, just got off a rape charge. Yeah. You'd think you'd hide under another piece of furniture, wouldn't you?
You'd think he would be sensible enough to behave himself and not go to this party.
He got an invite. He got an invite, mate. He's going to go along. I did see the Tarek Sims interviewed, and he said, because he was heading off to the Queensland camp, New South Wales camp afterwards, to go into State of Origin camp, and he said, I didn't even get an invite to the party. I just took off afterwards, but I didn't get an invite. And and they said, well, if you had got an invite, what would have you done? He said, I would have told them to pull their fucking heads in. So maybe that's what they, leadership, man. I mean, that's the thing. You can tell people so much, but in the end, it's the group, isn't it? It's the actual group of players. They need leaders within those groups to actually lead them. And I think that's the problem here. St. George, their leaders are the ones doing the wrong things, Yeah. So the young guys, what are they supposed to do?
Yeah. Oh, quite right.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's our big issues for this week, and we'll
deal with them.
Back with more big issues to ruminate over in coming episodes of the Hot Air Sports Podcast.
No doubt.
Getting back to football now, Harry Kane seems to have found some form at the Euros, as well as scoring 4 goals now. His general play seems to have improved, hasn't it? He's a lot more involved in games. You look at those first 2 games against Croatia and Scotland, you wouldn't have even known he was on the pitch.
Yeah, even the German game, after about 40 minutes, he had 2 touches. No, man, he played really well yesterday, besides missing the penalty. I mean, just dropping a little bit deeper, and getting those guys on the wings, flying thing, and then hitting a couple of diagonal balls. His passing must be, he's probably the best passer in the England side. I mean, especially because they don't play any midfield, because Gareth likes them playing deep midfield. They play 2 holding midfielders, so no midfielder is going to ever score a goal unless it's Mason Mount. You can't. You have to say, Harry's found form at exactly the right time, and Gareth was right with this one. But let's be honest, Harry Kane's always going to be in the squad. He's always going to be in the starting side. Yeah. No one in England is even close to him as the best striker, is he? So he's definitely the best striker. Even if he hadn't scored a goal up to this point, I think he'd still be in the side for the final. So,
Well, he's now equaled Gary Lineker's.
Yeah, he has
38 goals and a lot less matches too. So he's only got Rooney scored 53.
Yep.
And about 50 of those were penalties. So
he should bolt in. He should bolt in there, shouldn't he? He should.
Yeah. I've actually been impressed with the young guys that Southgate's brought in, the likes of Saka, Foden, Mount. We talked about Grealish, Calvin Phillips, and Declan Rice. I think they seem to be working well with the more experienced players like Stones, Walker, Shaw, Sterling, and Kane.
Definitely, man. Saka's an interesting one, because I would have Grealish in there all day.
Yeah,
I think Saka will come again. I think he's the sort of guy like he's like Sterling was when he first started. He's just got the gas. But I think Southgate likes Saka because he defends as well. He can play wing back. But he's a great player. Phil Foden. I mean, we've said enough about him. He's the English Messi, isn't he? I mean, he's just. He Phil Foden's a bit like that Spanish guy, Pedri. Did you watch him?
Yeah.
Very similar players, aren't they? Yeah. Great passes of the ball, run beautifully with the ball. Just seems like it's taped to their feet. Really, I mean, Phil Foden, he's got the world at his feet. Mason Mount's an interesting one, man, because I thought when I first saw it, here's another favourite of Gareth Southgate. Yeah, exactly. But this season has changed my mind on him. He is a really impressive player. He ran the game against Liverpool in midfield and scored a great goal against us, didn't he? So, I mean, all those young guys, and Grealish, his stock's just gone way up. I mean, what I wouldn't do for us to sign Grealish, for Liverpool to sign Grealish, man, he would just go absolutely awesome on that left. And Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice, Yeah, much maligned. I would only play one of them if I would play one of them and probably play Henderson and let Henderson get forward. I mean, Henderson's been doing. When Henderson came on in that second half, he made a big difference. I thought, man, he just gave them confidence and he pinged a few balls around. He's a better passer than both of them, and I just think you're mad not to have him in your side just for the leadership. But there you go. That's his call. Yeah, man. I mean, you have to for all we've said about Gareth Southgate and that and. They've got so much talent though, don't they, in England? They've got so much talent in all positions.
The guy that we haven't even mentioned is Jadon Sancho. I thought he had a great game against Germany, yet didn't even get a look in against Denmark.
Nah, he's too good. He's too attacking for Gareth. He attacks too well. Stop that and do some defending. Nah, they've just got just an absolute abundance of young talent, don't they? They're just phenomenally blessed.
Just to show we're not biased, what about the Italians? How are you thinking? What are your thoughts about them?
Absolutely loving the way they play, mate. I thought they were a little bit lucky against the Spanish. The Spanish came out and played with that false nine, didn't they? And the centre-backs had no one to mark, and then their midfield got overrun, and they were sort of, for the first half, I thought they were massively on the back foot, sort of looking, what can we do here? What can we do? This isn't what we planned for. But the second half, they came through. I thought they played really well. Got that first goal. Chiesa, what a player. I just love that guy. He's just so good. And that goal he got, just taking it a little bit earlier, that was a beautiful goal from the back as well. Rolled out by Donnarumma and then up the sideline and then cutting inside. Oh, just a gorgeous goal. But yeah, the Spanish came back and Morata scored that great goal, didn't he? Yeah. And everyone thought he went from nothing, you're not making the starting lineup, to you're on your bench, to you're coming on the field. Oh, redemption. You scored the goal, redemption. And then in the end, he misses the penalty to take him out. It's like the guy is just up and down all the time, old Morata. But no, mate, the Italians are amazing. They're an amazing side. I still favour them over England. It should be a great final. But you're right. The flying fullback, Leonardo Spinazzola, loved him during the tournament, but he's done his Achilles, isn't he? And he's out of the.
He's lightning quick.
Really good, mate, and he defends well too. He was likely their player of the tournament until he got injured. Love Chiesa. Not so impressed with Barella. I think he's a bit up and down. Berardi's good. Belotti, yep. Immobile, not mobile enough. No, what do you think though in the final? I think it'll be easier for the Italians in the final than it was in the semi-final. They've got Harry Kane to mark. I think they know what England's going to come at them with. England have always looked at what their opposition is going to do and then changed for that. I don't know whether they'll do that in this game. I think they'll probably just go with the tried and tested and exactly what they did against who did they play? Exactly in the semi-final. So yeah, I just think they'll go with the tried and true, and I think that'll actually play into the Italians' hands for the final.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they handle Kane. I mean, you look at those two centre-backs, Chiellini and Bonucci. Chiellini's probably more of a man marker, so he will probably stick to Kane.
Yep.
While Bonucci is more of a general all-round central
organizer. Yep.
Organizer. Got a lovely pass on him.
Yeah, he does.
Going to be really interesting to see him. And Verratti is another one.
Yeah.
Who England will have to watch out for. Tough tackler, boy. He goes into those tackles really hard.
Tiny little man.
Yeah. Marco Verratti. Yeah. He's a good player with the Paris Saint-Germain he's with. And he's come up a lot against some of these English players in Champions League games over the years. So Verratti. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting final. I don't think we're going to see too many goals. May even go to penalties.
I'd like a prediction from you then. Give me a prediction. Come on.
I think it's going to go to extra time.
Okay.
I'm going to say Italy 2-1.
With a penalty in about the 118th minute as Chiesa breaks into the box and, he's been brought down by Harry Maguire. Maguire screams, I didn't touch him. Sorry, I've given the penalty. Can't go upstairs. Sorry, saw you touch him. Saw you slightly up here on your leg, just touched him. That's enough.
Yeah, all right.
I think that's a very good pick, actually. I think 2-1's probably the most likely score. Whether it happens in 90 minutes or 180, I'm not sure. But, 2-1's probably a good score. And I have to go for Italy as well, mate, because That's where my money's on.
Money's
Absolutely.
Yep. More transfer rumours swirling around the Premier League, moving away from the Euros. Liverpool apparently set to sign Portuguese midfielder Renato Sanchez.
I would love that. God,
yeah, well, Leicester and Belgium playmaker Yuri Tielemans has also surfaced as a target, and rumours abound over French forward Kylian Mbappe just won't go away. I think probably a more realistic time for him to come will be this time next year. He's probably going to play out his contract at PSG and then
come on a free. Come on.
Yeah. Exactly. Chelsea seem to be favourites to sign Norwegian Erling Haaland, and apparently Raheem Sterling is open to offers to move away from Man City after being linked with a swap deal away from the Etihad for Harry Kane earlier in the break.
There's been talk about that. I just can't see that happening, man.
No,
it's just it's too difficult. It happens all the time in sports, American sports, especially like basketball and baseball. But in football, it hardly ever happens. The swap deal is so hard to do because you've got contract details for one player, and then you've got to offload those to another club. And then there's contract details for their player, which you've got to take on. And then you've got to renegotiate what the next contract is. So there's just too many moving parts.
Yeah, we very rarely see swap deals, but I think just with the COVID still around and the finances of a lot of clubs, I think they're looking more towards the swap deal this transfer window than we've seen in previous years. And I mean, it happens all the time, as you say, in American sport. Baseball teams trade for players, and American football and basketball teams trade players, with either a prospect or additional money. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if it actually does happen. But I think just the fact that he's been linked with that has upset him a wee bit because he's a wee bit of a snowflake. And we all know that from when he left Liverpool. When his agent pushed all that through and we got 49 million. Thanks.
Woohoo!
Anyway, in Europe, Paris Saint-Germain appear to have signed Spanish defender Sergio Ramos, who was unwanted by Real Madrid.
That made me think poor old Genie Wijnaldum's going to be playing with Ramos.
Yeah.
You're like, a bit of a dick.
New Bayern Munich boss Julian Nagelsmann has told Man United that Leon Goretzka, their German midfielder, is not for sale. So
thank God for that, because that guy is a player. That guy is a player, mate. I would hate him to go to United.
And a rumour that I heard from a friend of mine through a contact of his in England, haven't actually seen it in any of the gossip pages, but Gareth Bale looks set to finally leave the Bernabeu and has been linked with hometown championship side Cardiff City, who apparently he's just going to play for them for a season and then hang up the boots and get the golf bag out.
Yeah, good golf courses in Cardiff. He'd go right to the top of Kerry Jones's most hated man in Wales list if that happened.
Certainly would.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, that would be interesting. I mean, it made the championship very interesting, wouldn't it? Who's the coach? Who's the coach at Cardiff now? Is it still our old mate? No. He's not there anymore.
No, Warnock.
Warnock. He's not there anymore. Damn.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So yeah, that'd be interesting, man. I'd love to see him in the championship. He'd kill it in the championship. He might decide, and then if they got promoted, I mean, I can't imagine that he would say, "Well, one season in the Premier League, I'm sorry, I've just got you promoted to the Premier League. That's enough for me." I doubt that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he'd stay for another year, but interesting.
Yeah. The A-League season may only just be over, but the Phoenix gather for pre-season training in just over a week. Turn around with a FFA Cup game on the schedule, and that was drawn last night. So we're going to be playing either Western United or Newcastle Jets in that FFA Cup game. We've drawn as the home team, but of course, in the FFA Cup, we never get to play home games. So that'll be over in Australia. And the league season beginning hasn't been set yet by the new independent body. So we're still waiting to find out when the new A-League season is going to start. There was thoughts last year that they wanted to change it to a winter league, but then they got a bit of opposition around that because they're up against rugby union, rugby league, Australian rules for supporter base. And so they decided that probably wasn't a good idea because if you remember, the last season started in December and went through till May. I think they're wanting to start it around October, which is when they usually start. So to keep that as a summer competition.
Okay. Well, I've also heard that Gary Hooper's signed for the Phoenix. Is that right?
Yeah, he's coming back.
Which is great. It's great news, especially
Yeah,
because
great signing.
the Israeli striker may be off. I hear he may not be with us next year. So getting Gary Hooper back is great. And the other thing in the football that I've heard is that Sarpreet Singh has completed a loan move to German second division side SSV Jan Regensburg. Not that I've heard of them. What do you make of that, mate? What are you thinking about Sarpreet Singh? He's been at Bayern Munich now for 3 years, I think.
I think it was the third year.
So if he's still being lent out, is his career really progressing as maybe we thought it would? Or do you think that's just another step on the way to him sort of maturing as a footballer?
Yeah, we do see it with a lot of the young players, especially in the Premier League. I mean, you look at the number of players that
absolutely
all have got loaned out, and but we do see it when those players get loaned out, year after year. They don't tend to end up in the first team. So I hope that doesn't happen with Sarpreet. I mean, he's behind some pretty good footballers at Bayern Munich.
He is
on that side. I think just the fact that he has played in the first team in some preseason games, that they still rate him highly. Obviously, that's not going to happen this year because he's already signed for Regensburg. So yeah, I hope it's still all positive for him, and I hope that one day he can find a place in that Bayern Munich side or another top European side. I mean, he's still only 20, is he?
Yeah, very young. I mean, yeah.
So he's still got a lot of football ahead of him. And I just wish him all the very best.
Before we get on to code, mate, just one last matter on the football front. There has been some suggestion that Liverpool may be open to a return for Felipe Coutinho for £20 million from Barcelona. No brainer or absolutely no way?
Not happening.
Not happening?
No, I don't think
the 20 million?
The way he tried to force through his move to Barcelona many years ago when Jurgen Klopp advised him to stay at Liverpool, I just don't think it would happen. I can see him going to Everton more than coming to Liverpool.
Yeah, with Rafa.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. No, it's probably not a bad move.
Yeah, no, I don't think it will happen. And the rumours seem to have cooled about Luis Suarez coming back too. So
they have.
Yeah, but yeah, no, Coutinho is not the footballer he was 3 years ago when he left Liverpool.
Of those ones you mentioned, I'd love to see Renato Sanchez at Liverpool. Absolutely love that. I think the guy has unlimited potential that has not been unlocked. And I think that the style we play and Klopp as a manager could do that. And if we could see the best out of it, that guy could be anything as well. I would be really scared if Chelsea got Erling Haaland. I think he is just a superstar in the making. And why do they need another striker? I mean, I don't know, but I mean, guess they've just got to go and buy all the flash new shiny toys. Because that's what they do, don't they?
Shit.
Werner, but they'll still get. And they've got Havertz as well. They've got Tammy Abraham. They've got so many strikers. They've got Giroud still there, mate. How many strikers do you need?
Yeah, no, he's looks like he actually might be heading somewhere else too. I read the other day. I'm just trying to remember. AC Milan, I think, we're
Erling Haaland,
2-year contract.
That'd be a sideways step. I think he'd probably be better to stay at Dortmund for me. But anyway,
no, I'm talking about Giroud.
Oh, Giroud. Oh, yeah. Well, that would make complete sense. Yeah, absolutely. Big sort of target man up front. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Okay, should we move on to Union, mate? The British and Irish Lions Tour, the Lions Tour. That's right. We haven't seen one of these for 5 years. It started well for the tourists. 50-point win over the Gauteng Lions. It was lion on lion in Johannesburg.
It was.
The tour is still in jeopardy with this weekend's clash against the Bulls cancelled due to a COVID outbreak amongst the team, and 10 more Springboks in the camp has succumbed to the virus while the whole country is still in lockdown. Sounds like a fun tour so far, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the two 50-point wins have been overshadowed a bit. And a couple of days ago, they put 54 on the Natal Sharks, who now they're going to play again this weekend because of the Bulls game being cancelled. So it'll be the Lions and the Sharks playing again. Yeah, it's just, I can't see this tour getting to its conclusion, really.
I mean, why don't they? Yeah, they should pull the pin now. I mean, they haven't played any tests. They're not halfway through. Just do it. I mean, I saw that, someone on the Rugby 15 website has said it doesn't take Einstein to figure out that this is not ideal. If the tour gets to the tests, Springbok fans can pull out a fairly credible caveat that their players were undercooked due to lack of preparation time. So that's the whole thing. Even if they do make it to the tests, their players, and they get maybe half their side back, they'll still be able to say, oh, well, we never played. Our guys were sick. You never played. Yeah. So it's not going to be a real thing anyway, is it? No, so, exactly. Pull the pin now, mate. Pull the pin now. What about the Wallabies? So the Wallabies started their 2021 season midweek with a narrow 23-21 win against France. I saw a little comment from you on Facebook, mate, saying you didn't even know this was on.
I didn't.
What are you doing? You of all people.
I knew France were touring Australia, but I didn't know they were starting off with a midweek test.
Yeah. Midweek test to get the French.
Woke up Thursday morning, saw on Facebook that Australia had won and thought, I thought that was this weekend.
Yeah. It was it was a crazy time to have it on, but I watched the second half. Really interesting. The French were dominating, and then they sort of dropped their bundle a little bit. Started playing Gareth Southgate defensive tactics with two holding midfielders, almost. And at the end, they were actually in front when the final hooter went, and they couldn't even kick the ball out. They actually had possession of the ball. Did you see the end of this game?
No.
Oh my God, mate! It's ridiculous. They have the scrum. They have the ball at the back of the scrum. The halfback throws it to no one. The first five tries to get it, throws it back to no one. The Wallabies come through, plow over the top of the ball, get the ball and get a penalty and kick the penalty and score the try. All they need to do is kick it out. I mean, It was just so French. So French.
Sacre bleu.
Oh, no, Yeah, no, it was crazy. But, good start for the Wallabies, mate.
Yes, quite right. Another rugby news. Just noticed this morning that Scott Razor Robertson's re-signed with the New Zealand Rugby and the Crusaders for 3 more years.
Great news.
Not so great news. Out that 3 years as Crusaders coach. I think he'll be guiding a team that wears black uniforms within at least a year.
I bloody hope so, mate. I bloody hope so. I mean, I'm just stoked that he signed on with the New Zealand Rugby Union again, and not the English Rugby Union, to be fair.
Quite right. So what's happening in the league world, mate? We've talked about the marvellous Paul Vaughan and the St George Illawarra. What else is happening? Jesus. I see the Manly Sea Eagles got beat last night.
They did, mate. They did. They got a few players out due to Origin, of course. So maybe not so surprising. But yeah, the Warriors, I mean, they've been doing it tough over the last few weeks. But so this is the whole thing. The Warriors sacrifice basically where they live. They go over there for 6 months, and then Paul Vaughan decides, I can't even spend a weekend without a party. The sacrifices they've made for the sport, and then the idiotic behavior from the St. George Dragons, there's just no comparison. Our side, very well behaved young men, very well behaved. So pity they can't win a bloody game of football at the moment, but that would make me even happier. But no, okay. Well, we got 6 p.m. this Sunday. We got the Sharks, so we're playing against Sean Johnson, which is kind of ironic. His old side. So no doubt he'll kick the winning field goal for them, and they'll get a 1-point win, because that's generally what happens when we run up against someone that can kick a field goal, because we can't. We have lost for this week due to injury. Chad Townsend, who was injured basically in the first few minutes of the game last week, soldiered on and made a couple of absolutely moronic decisions, like taking a drop goal when we're 8 points ahead, giving them a set of 7. They run down the other end and score a try. So I wasn't too impressed with that. Chad said afterwards, he did own it. He said, I just didn't know I thought we were 6 points ahead. So I'm just like, dude, you're a professional fucking footballer, mate. Sort it out. Anyway, he's out with an injury, and Tohu Harris is out with an injury as well. He'll be more missed for the Warriors, because he has been our Iron Man this season. Tohu Harris, he's basically Simon Mannering in disguise. He's just an awesome player. He's always does the most meters, most tackles. He's what has he got? Confirmation of an AC joint injury. Hopes he's returned in about a month. Matches initial expectations, grade 2-3 AC joint sprain, usual return to play in the 3 to 4 weeks, can be slightly longer for some grade 3 sprain. So upset for him, but we are gaining a few this week. Reece Walsh, the wonder boy at the back, is back at fullback. Rocco Berry, who's been out for about a month with a couple of injuries, is back in the centres, and Cody Nikorima makes a return in the halves. So we lose a few, we gain a few, and Big Mac Lodge makes his debut for the Warriors. Interested to see how he goes. He's basically a 70-80 minute prop. He can play all game. Should be very interesting with him and Adden, because Adden's really probably a 40 to 60 minute prop. Be good to have a big lump in the middle that just plays all the minutes. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how he goes. Looking at the table, I couldn't believe it when I looked this up. We're still only 2 points out of the 8, unbelievably. If we had have won just one of those 3 games we lost by 1 point, we would be well in the 8. So can't believe it, really. I mean, it just shows you how tight the table is. There really is a top 6, and then there's about 7 or 8 teams fighting it out for that for the 7 and 8. So the top 6 at the moment: Storm, Panthers, Rabbits, Eels, Sea Eagles, and Roosters. They're locked in for the top 6. And then you're looking at Dragons, Sharks, Raiders, Knights, Cowboys, Titans, and Warriors. All of those teams between 16 and 12 points. So it's still tight, mate. It's tight. 14, the Sharks are actually in the top 8 right now as we speak in 8th. They're only on 14 points. So if the Warriors beat the Sharks, we are equal 8th, mate. Unbelievable after 4 losses in a row that we're still in contention, but we are. And, get a few players back from injury. You never know what can happen. So go the boys on Sunday against the Sharks.
Quite right.
There you go.
When's the last State of Origin game?
This week, coming up. This coming week on Wednesday. Don't know whether I'll bother, mate. I might watch the first 10 minutes and see whether Queensland are up to anything. But, I mean, New South Wales are just too good, mate. They're just phenomenal team.
Yep. Quite right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go stateside.
Baseball. Los Angeles Angels phenom Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, my God.
MLB hitting
honestly
second homer of the season, breaking the record for the most home runs in a whole season for a Japanese-born player. Amazing, given the mid-season All-Star break is next week. The previous record of 31 was held by Yankee slugger Hideki Matsui, who had the next 3, I think, season records for a Japanese-born player. But 32 home runs, and we're only halfway through the season. This guy is just
I heard, bro, 32. That was the number. I don't know whether that came through. 32 home runs this guy has got so far. He's on 60-plus track, which is phenomenal in anyone's book. But basically, I saw someone interviewed, I don't know who it was. It was just a player off a random team the other day, and they sort of said, what are you making of Shohei Ohtani's performances this year? And they said, well, how can you not be enjoying it? It's basically like we're living during the time of Babe Ruth. He basically said, we are watching Babe Ruth here, and those are the records he's breaking. I heard one of the commentators yesterday say in 1919, Babe Ruth hit certain amount of homers, and he's just broken that record today or yesterday with that other homer. The guy is doing things, and then they were talking about why don't we in America have more dual talents and more of that, and they sort of mentioned that they thought that it was coached out of them, because once someone is a phenomenal talent in one thing, they just sort of say, no, you just focus on that one individual skill. Whereas in Japan, they focus on everything. They reckon that this guy can run the bases faster than anyone. He can throw better than anyone. He's going to be in the home run derby as well, mate, which will be real interesting. I mean, that hardly ever happens. The guy leading in home runs actually competes in the home run derby. This guy has got me watching baseball, mate. He's got me watching baseball. Phenomenal player. Amazing to watch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Though you're absolutely right. That does get coached out of players. And one of them, who I know personally, DJ Carrasco, who pitched for the Mets, the White Sox, the Diamondbacks. At high school, he was a Shohei Ohtani. He was their main pitcher and their best hitter. But once he got into the professional ranks, they basically told him, "No, you're not hitting anymore."
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's obviously retired now and has been for a few years, but he still plays baseball for fun, in the older Masters leagues over there as a hitter. So, he's not pitching anymore, but, he still does pretty well with the bat. And, I've seen him doing batting practice, back for when the Tuatara were playing. And boy, he knows what to do with the bat.
Yeah.
Unlike many other pitchers. I mean, you see some pitchers.
They don't even look like they know how to hold it.
Yeah. They just sort of swing, get their 3 strikes, and walk back to the dugout.
Now up at the plate, Chris Martin.
Yeah, exactly right. And, it's the same, we see the same in cricket. If you're a good bowler, your batting gets falls by the wayside. I mean, how many times? I mean, you look at who was I thinking of? One in New Zealand's
cricketer,
best fast bowlers in recent years was a batter when he played at school, and has ended up being a bowler and can hardly hold a bat.
Who's that?
I can't remember.
Oh, I know exactly.
Current team was a few years ago. He played.
Well, you look at Jamison, for instance.
Yeah,
he was a number 3 batsman when he was playing for playing club and high school cricket. He's more of a batsman, and then he got down. He made a couple of age group sides, and Dale Hadley got hold of him and said, "Mate, look at the size of you. You should be bowling. What are you doing?" He's obviously got the athletic attributes, though, to do it all. So why not? Why not? Why aren't there more Americans doing that sort of thing? You get the feeling that there could be, but it's just
some pitchers in the major leagues can bat quite well. I mean, you look at Madison Bumgarner, Zach Greinke's a good batter. Jacob deGrom is a good hitter, and so there are pitchers in the major leagues that can hit, but obviously don't hit that regularly because they probably only have 2 or 3 at-bats per game.
Can I ask you a question? Japanese baseball, do all the pitchers hit all the time, or is it designated hitters? What's the story with that?
Yeah, I'm not actually sure.
Okay.
To be perfectly honest, I don't know whether they have designated hitter or not.
You would suggest that maybe because this guy can hit, that all pitchers hit.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of players in Japan I know that are dual players, but because they're trying to concentrate on both, don't quite get to the heights. I mean, this guy's just a freak, really.
He is.
Even in Japan, he was.
So this is his first season, right? First season in Major League?
No, he's been with the Angels for 3 years.
Okay.
And his first year, he started out like this, but only for a couple of weeks, and then got injured.
But he was pitching and hitting.
Yeah, but then missed most of last season. So I think this is his third or fourth season, third season in the majors. So this is the first time he's been injury-free and has put together a good run of games. So,
either way, he's a hell of a great reason to turn on the TV and watch baseball, mate. I mean,
absolutely. And I mean, when you look at the records, I mean, Babe Ruth really only pitched for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Like he never pitched for the New York Yankees. He only ever pitched for Boston.
No, he was traded as a pitcher, wasn't he? But he never really. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We touched on it there. The MLB has a 3-day break next week with the annual Home Run Derby and All-Star Game in Colorado being held. The festivities were supposed to be in Atlanta, but Major League Baseball changed the venue after the state of Georgia voted in a controversial new voting law, and MLB made their opposition quite clear to the law public, as the new law is aimed at suppressing votes among people of color in underserved areas. So,
wow. That's correct.
That's the state of Georgia.
Oh, well, I just have to applaud the MLB for actually taking a stance then, because so often you hear national sport, or not even national sporting organizations, club or any sort of sporting organization saying, no, we are just fully focused on the sport and all the politics doesn't matter. Well done MLB for actually standing up for those sorts of people, those sorts of things.
Yeah, you touched on the home run derby before. Ohtani is
going to be the best ever.
Some pretty good sluggers. You got Mets Pete Alonso, Nationals outfielder Juan Soto, who many believe is one of the best hitters that's been around Major League Baseball for a very, very long time. Rangers Joey Gallo, who hit a 462 feet home run yesterday and absolutely clobbered it. Hometown Rockies shortstop Trevor Story, Orioles first baseman Trey Mancini, who last year didn't play because he was recovering from cancer. So it's a pretty good comeback for Trey Mancini. Royals catcher Salvador Perez and Oakland infielder Matt Olson are competing in that home run derby. This is one of the best fields they've had in
amazing
a number of years.
Where are the Yankees? No Judge,
Aaron Judge was offered a place but turned it down. A lot of in years gone by, I'm talking 10, 15 years ago, it used to be the top 4 home run hitters in each league at that time, and they basically had to do it. But now a lot of players reckon it stuffs up their swing because you're basically...
Because you're doing it, it's high impact, isn't it? It's like 1, 2, 3, you swing hard,
And you basically, it's just you're facing one of your coaches who's throwing the ball at 60 mile an hour instead of a normal pitcher throwing it at 80, 90, 100 miles an hour.
Yeah,
and it does upset some people's swing, so they choose not to go in it, which is pretty much why Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and a few others have opted out. So
fair enough. Both those guys are made of glass anyway, so I wouldn't want them competing, mate.
Quite right.
No, that's an amazing field. I love the home run derby. It's one of those things that even if you don't like baseball, you can sit down, even dare I say it, with your missus who she might it's just so boring. So you sit down, wow, that guy can act. Look at him. Look at his muscles. And then they actually
you get the great Chris Berman commentating.
Oh, bang. He's great, exactly.
I love Boomer.
Oh, it's so good. And then the players are sort of more relaxed as well. They're sort of walking around beforehand, joking with each other. It's actually quite good to see the dynamics between the players as well. Love the home run derby. And they also have the celebrity softball match beforehand as well, which is a bit of a laugh as well. You have this Kevin Hart running around the outfield and stuff. It's good fun.
He's tiny, isn't he?
Tiny little man, mate. No bigger than Navigator. No bigger than Navigator.
Yeah. I saw him sitting on a couch on a Jonathan Ross show recently. He was sitting in between Freddie Flintoff and Stephen Fry.
That wouldn't have been done by accident.
Yeah. Anyway, now once the All-Star break is over, teams will start looking towards 31st of July, not just because it's my birthday, but it's also the trade deadline. And while no major moves have happened yet, it'll be a busy couple of weeks for general managers around the league as teams out of the playoff race like Baltimore, Kansas City, Minnesota, Detroit, Texas, Arizona, Colorado, Miami, Pittsburgh,
the Yankees,
Cubs, and the Yankees will not be selling. Will look to sell, and clubs still in the race will look to buy. So, it's always an interesting time. You see some trades pop up, you think, wow, didn't see that.
Why are they doing that? They're selling their best player. I know, that's why I love it. This is part of the thing I love about the baseball, though. It's like, stuff you never see happen in other sports. And it's almost card trading, isn't it? It's horse trading. Like, we need a bit there, we need a bit there. We've got that, we can give that. And it goes back to what we were talking about before. It really is. It's not so much about the cash. It's about finding the right pieces. It's about I can trade you that and give you that and all that sort of thing. It's such a fascinating time. It's like the January to February sort of trade the transfer window in the Premier League, except things just don't go on in the Premier League. There's that month and everyone's waiting and nothing happens. And what happens is the trade deadline happens in the baseball and everything kicks off. I love it. I love it. I love watching it.
That last 2 weeks before the 31st of July will be really interesting to keep your eye on.
Absolutely.
MLB.com. And there's a lot of clubs pretty much already out of it. The Yankees are only just over 500, but they're probably only 2 pieces away from competing again.
What are those pieces?
One more pitcher to pretty much replaced Corey Kluber, who he
He's injured.
pitched a no-hitter, and then 2 games later he was down with an injured elbow. So no time frame on him coming back. So another frontline pitcher to support Garrett Cole, and an outfielder. Basically, Aaron Hicks, who's our regular centre fielder, went down after about 10 games and won't be seen again till next year. And Brett Gardner, he's 38 now. That's too much area. I mean, I know he's fit. It's just too much area in centre field for him to cover. They did make a trade during the week to sign Tim Locastro from the Arizona Diamondbacks. Yeah, he's a really good fielder, but not a very good hitter. So interesting to see what happens there. One of those potentially selling are the Chicago Cubs, who in the space of just 14 days have gone from leading the National League Central to being 8.5 games behind current leaders Milwaukee.
How does that happen?
Run of 11 losses in a row.
That's how that happens. You lose 11 in a row.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, that basically, these last 11 games could
stuff their whole season.
Whether the Cubs are going to compete or not.
Well, they probably will, won't they? I mean, if the season keeps going the way it does, I mean, up and down, you win one, you lose one, which is generally what happens. If it carries on like this, yeah, I mean, unless they go on a run, where they win 11 in a row.
They've won this morning, so they're
okay.
They've started a new run, so they're one on the trot.
Who'd they beat this morning?
Let me have a look here.
And are they in a series with them at the moment, or what's the?
Yeah, sorry, that was yesterday. They won a game.
Yeah.
And that was against the Phillies.
Okay.
Won at 8-3, and they're playing the Phillies again today.
There you go. So they might think, okay, well, now it's time to start a run, isn't it? That's what another thing I love about the baseball, mate. You can never, and it's something we discussed about with when we had Budgie on as well. You can never ever say the team that wins the MLB, except maybe for last year when the COVID hit and they had the shortened series. Yeah. You can never say that at the end of a 164 game season, is it 164? 162 game season that that the correct team hasn't won the pennant. I mean, if you can't get it done in 162 games, you're not going to get it done, are you? So
just a quick run through of the division leaders. Boston has a 2.5 game lead over Tampa. In the American League East and the Central, the White Sox have an 8 game lead over Cleveland.
Wow.
The West, Houston are 4.5 games ahead of Oakland. The National League, the Mets are leading the East by 4 games over Washington. Milwaukee, as I said, they're 6 games ahead of the Reds in the Central, and in the West, it's a lot tighter. San Francisco's top. Dodgers are just 1 game back, and then the Padres are only 4.5 games back. That's really the only close division in the whole of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, crazy. What about the Kiwis over there, mate? Stateside, how are they going?
Yep, Jason Matthews just continues to rake in pro ball at the Great Falls Voyagers. Love that team name in Montana. In the Independent Pioneer League, he's averaging 374, 37 hits, 3 home runs, 7 doubles, 4 triples, 25 runs batted in, and 31 runs in just 26 games. So he's going great guns. The amateur MLB draft takes place after the All-Star break. And while he doesn't feature in the top 100 picks, he could quite easily go on one of the later rounds. Kyle Glogowski is still on the disabled list with that right elbow strain, while Ben Thompson has reproduced his form after a blowout game last week. He's lowered his ERA back to 3.04 and in 15 relief appearances. So Ben's going pretty well. And, of course, Elliot Johnston is on his way over there to play rookie ball with the New York Mets. So we look forward to seeing him in some action fairly soon. I think the rookies, they only play 6-week competition. So I think he'll be starting probably sometime later this month or early in August.
Go the Kiwis. I'd love to see a Kiwi in Major League Baseball, mate. Love to see it.
We all, yeah.
Oh, come on.
Just be fantastic.
Absolutely. Okay. Should we hit, before we leave, should we do some quick hits?
Quick hits. Former US Open golf winner Angel Cabrera has been jailed for assault on his wife. Not a good look for the cigar-smoking Angel Cabrera, We were talking
Well,
about.
I hope he did. I hope he didn't use a golf club. I mean, I hope he gave her the weapons.
Yeah,
that's a bad look. Bad look.
Yep. Overnight, Australian Ash Barty has made the Wimbledon women's final. So
good stuff.
Good stuff.
I like her.
I think she's an absolute. She's a little
champion, mate. She is. She's a champion. Every time I hear her talk too, she just seems so genuine. So no airs or graces. This is who I am. You take it or leave it. And I play tennis, and I like that. Oh,
she's great sports person too, because she played Super Smash or Big Bash women's cricket for the Brisbane Heat.
Unbelievable, eh? She was a cricketer. She was a cricketer first.
Yeah.
So there you go. What did she do when she played cricket? Do you know? Do you know whether she was a batter or a bowler or
all rounder? I think.
Okay, she can do a bit of it all. Go Ash Barty.
Men's side of the draw, mate.
Yeah, mate. Well, Roger Federer, he's the guy that I'm hoping will win. The guy that's out there going for all the older guys. Oh, what happened to him? Oh, did he lose? Did he lose? Oh, bugger. No, I saw that, mate. Yeah, he's been polished off by a Polish player. I'm not going to even try and say this guy's name.
Herbert Hurkacz.
Herbert Hurkacz. In straight sets, he lost one set, love 6. First time it's ever happened to him on grass. Sad to see him out of the of Wimbledon. It's a spiritual home, and I would have loved to have seen the Swiss ace take it all the way, but it doesn't. It's not going to happen. Novak Djokovic is going to face Denis Shapovalov. Some Russian guy called Denis in the series. With a win for Djokovic in the tournament, we'll see him join Federer and Nadal on 20 Grand Slam wins. I still would never say that he's a better player than them, though. What about you? What about you? Would you? Well, all-time greatest. I mean, would you consider he's better than those two? He's better than Nadal or Federer? No. But he could end with maybe 10 times, another 10, because he's a lot younger than both of them. He could end up with another 10 Grand Slams.
He's in his early 30s, so
yeah. But the other guys are in there. They're probably not going to win another. 30s,
so 4 years on them.
Well, if he goes for another 4 or 5 years, he wins a slam a year. He could end up with another 5, 6, 7 slams more than both of them. Yeah. And then we'll have that discussion again. Of course, the COVID outbreak is still happening in the UK with that deadly variant going around over there, and it's forced England to select a whole new team and management group for their one-day international series against Sri Lanka. What's going on there?
Better though. They beat them by 9 wickets this morning.
Oh my gosh! So maybe they had the wrong team in the first place.
Yeah, quite right. In another cricket news, New Zealand cricket is going to be taking the World Test Championship mace around the country later this month.
Nice.
I don't know if taking that around for parades is such a good idea, but
there's the mace.
Yeah.
The other thing was Ben Simmons was spotted at Wimbledon with his girlfriend Mama Jama. Who's also a basketball player. He straight after saying that he wasn't going to be wasn't available to go to the Olympics with the Boomers. He sort of said, "No, I need to work on my basketball game in Philadelphia." And next thing you know, he's spotted at Wimbledon doing this.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, Ben, just be honest with your intentions, mate. You don't want to go to the Olympics. Just say you don't want to go to the Olympics.
Well, you could say he's working on his form.
Well, he's doing very well, isn't he? If that's the case. Just a couple of other things before we leave. Stanley Cup was decided this week in the ice hockey, and Tampa Bay Lightning took away their second consecutive Stanley Cup, beating the Montreal Canadiens in 4 games to 1 in 4 games. They took it away in Tampa, which was actually quite nice. I mean, I don't like the Tampa Bay Lightning, but it was quite nice for them as a team because they won it last year and won in front of absolutely no one. This time they got a full stadium, 18,000 in Tampa, could take around the Stanley Cup. I just was a bit upset because I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan, so that was sad to see them. And it was the first time a Canadian side had been in the Stanley Cup playoffs for about 20 years. So I was hoping for the Canadian side. Never mind, next year they'll come back stronger, no doubt. Also, the NBA Finals continue. Suns versus the Bucks. That's on later today with the Suns up 1-0 in the...
I'm backing the Suns in that one. Go the Suns.
Absolutely.
Phoenix Suns. If you'd said to me at the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
put money on the Suns and the Bucks making the NBA Finals, I would have laughed at you.
Absolutely. The Suns. I would have gone the Suns. Are they even? What team are they?
Still playing?
Absolutely. Last time I saw the Suns was when Charles Barkley was playing for them, mate. I mean, honest, it's the thing. And I don't think any of the players that are playing for these teams, none of them have won a NBA Finals championship. So it's quite nice to get two new teams. I think the Bucks won a championship way back when a guy called Lou Alcindor later changed his name to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There you go. But he was known as Lou Alcindor back then. I think they won a championship way back early 70s, late 60s or something. They haven't been there anywhere near it either. But they've got, of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak, playing for them, who is a great player, but he's just coming off an injury. So I suggest he'll be better in game 2, and it should be a tight one. Really good series, though. Really good series shaping up in the NBA. I'd
love to see Chris Paul get a title.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a good player. Been floating around for a long time. He's been an all-star for a long time, and he's just proving his class, mate. He's just proving his class for the Suns. But the Suns, man, who would, like you said, you could have got some really long odds on those two making the NBA Finals for sure.
And if the Suns do go on and win it, they will only be the second ever sports team from state of Arizona to win a major championship.
After the Diamondbacks
in 2001. Yeah.
There you go.
Go the Phoenix Suns.
Absolutely. Go the Phoenix Suns. I think I actually might have watched one or two of those matches, the Diamondbacks World Series win with you.
Yeah, you did.
I think we did, when Randy Johnson was pitching for them. Yep. Yeah, there you go. So I still remember some things.
Game 6, the Diamondbacks put 15 runs up on the.
That's right.
It wasn't a very pleasant experience for me.
It wasn't. But I laughed.
Yeah, you did. You laughed a lot. Anyway, finishing off with good week, bad week. We'll start with good week. Joey Chestnut cleans up for the 13th time at Nathan's annual 4th of July hot dog eating competition, scoffing a world record 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes.
How can he call himself the world champion when he's never taken you on, Macca? How can he call himself the world champion?
I'd be lucky to eat 7.6 hot dogs in 10 minutes.
Honestly, it's not eating. Let's be honest. It's
shoving it down your throat.
And it's like, and you can't even see it go in. It's just that, isn't it? Well, it's a phenomenal effort, Joey. Phenomenal effort. You are an athlete. The guy has the jaw of, I don't know, just the guy. The thing is, when these competitions first started, you always thought the big fat people, right?
Yeah.
And I always thought, all of these sort of competitions always reminded me of that Stephen King movie, the one where they go for the long walk, Stand By Me. And there's a great story in it about where the boys are they're telling each other stories, and one of the boys tells this other guy about the story about the guy that was always getting teased for being too fat. So he went to the thing and he ate all the thing and then he spewed over everyone. Can you remember that? But it was always the fat guys that were the big eaters, the big eaters. Joey Chestnut must weigh maybe 80 kilograms max. He's not a big guy, but geez, his jaw must be so strong. And that's just absolutely crazy, man. And is Joey Chestnut his real name?
I don't know.
Chestnut. Never met a person called Chestnut. How many chestnuts could he eat?
Well, talking of funny names, maybe I shouldn't say funny names, but different names, is my subject for bad week.
Okay.
American sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson hasn't had a great week after she was suspended by USA Athletics after testing positive for marijuana following her win in the 100 meters at the Olympic trials. So
she did carry. She carried, all right. She carried a positive test. Oh, Sha'Carri.
It's almost up there with NFL player Clinton Dix.
It is. Look, for a start, mate, if she's a 100-meter sprinter and how marijuana is or cannabis is giving her any advantage running a 100-meter sprint, unless there's a Domino's pizza truck parked at the end of the 100 meters, I've got no idea, mate. No idea. So I can't see. Right. Any weed test is ridiculous anyway, mate. It's not going to help you, is it?
Well, it's not exactly performance enhancing.
No, exactly. Go on your marks. Get set. Oh, I can't be bothered.
On your mark, get set. Oh, I'm hungry.
Oh, peckish.
Got any munchies?
Great work, mate. Great work.
So yeah, there's good week, bad week for another week, and
mate,
this week's edition of the Hot Air Sports.
Hey, just before you go, I think we should have a little sing song, don't you think? Because it might be happening, Macca.
You reckon?
I'm not sure whether it is. Hang on. I'm not sure whether it's happening or not, but it really could be happening.
Well,
it could be happening.
Coming out, so it can't be happening. No sound.
England, is it coming home? It's coming home.
Make sure you give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. And next week, didn't you say a couple of weeks back that if England won the Euros, you'd do the next show naked?
No, I suggested that I may. If we get someone asking for it, I may do it. Of course, I'm only shot from here down. Hang on, I'll just get. Oh no, I'll have to be very careful, won't I?
Yeah, you have to be very careful.
Well, I won't have to worry though, mate, because Italy will win it.
Quite right. We'll be eating pasta for the rest of the week. Give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. Look out for the big question on Facebook on Monday or Tuesday, and we'll be back with another Hot Air Sports podcast in the coming week or so. So
beautiful.
It's a good day from me.
And it's good night from him. We'll see you next